I'm back with the second part of a 10-part video series where I'm going through Rolling Stone's top 200 hip-hop albums of all time, and I'm giving my take on each and every album. So I'm breaking this down 20 albums per video. Part 1 is in the books, and honestly there were some really cool picks. I love breaking these albums down. Hip-hop is my thing. I'm more than ready to speak on it. I'm Ryan. I talk music. Welcome to part 2. One quick reminder, I only saw these placements and rankings, if you will, for the first time when I wrote this video script. So while this isn't a blind reaction, it's kind of me getting my feelings out about it for the first time. Hip-hop is pretty close to my heart. I take this pretty seriously, and you'll see that because there's some interesting picks, to say the least, coming up here. So let's get into the next 20, numbers 180 through 161. Number 180, it's a relatively new album. It's Little Simz, Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. This is one of the best hip-hop albums of the 2020s. I think number 180 is too low on this list, but it is also new and hasn't really achieved and accumulated a legacy just yet. I have really been enjoying the emergence of the London rapper in recent years. Her most heralded project is this one. I enjoyed 2019's Gray Area, I think maybe a little bit more than this, and also her latest album at the time of recording, 2025's Lotus, is extremely solid. But Introvert is truly a remarkable album. It's taken the culture by storm. Musically, it's orchestral and mixes these modern day hip-hop and Afrobeat influences together. It's epic. Simz is introspective and conscious while also having the bite of the most seasoned battle rapper. She's such a witty and talented lyricist, and while I think the album is a bit front-loaded overall, gets off to a torrid start, I do think she's on point lyrically through the whole thing. Again, top 10 for 2020's hip-hop for me. It's too low on this list in my opinion. Go get to know this album if you haven't already. Number 179 is Los Angeles Collective Freestyle Fellowship's debut album, To Whom It May Concern. Well, this was a really cool trend-setting album for the emerging West Coast underground, kind of in the wake of NWA and as G-Funk was really starting to get big in the early 90s. I really actually hope we see their second album, 1993's Inner City Griots, later, lower, whatever on this list. This is a great, formidable debut that shows the group, which is unofficially led by the biggest wordsmith in their crew, AC Alone, come out with these strange stream of consciousness flows with sometimes actually extraterrestrial subject matter. And this sounds nothing, I repeat, nothing like anything coming off of the West Coast at that time. They were just on some other shit. This album is really cool, but Inner City Griots is the one that I want to see on this list. For what it's worth, To Whom It May Concern, number 179, I like this pick. At number 178, we have E40's 1995 album, In a Major Way. Hailing from the North Bay city of Vallejo, California, E40 is one of the most recognizable faces of Bay Area hip-hop. He has this unorthodox animated delivery that was on full display on this record, and this is arguably his most successful and influential album. This is a gold standard for that mob music subgenre. It's driven by the excellent Dusted and Disgusted, which features a guest appearance from Tupac Shakur during the height of his controversy as an artist. Don't sleep on the deeper cuts though, like It's All Bad. This album is raw, it's to the point, and it's really a gateway album if you want to get to know E40 and Bay Area hip-hop. Here's another all-time favorite of mine. This one is way too low. In part 1, it was Capone and Noriega's The War Report at number 187, I believe. At 177, we have Gravediggaz' 6 Feet Deep. Both of these albums are in my top 10 hip-hop albums of all time, so obviously this is way underrated. I'm glad to see it get recognition on this list, but no, it's too low, man. This features the supergroup, if you will, of Wu-Tang Clan's RZA, Stetsasonics Prince Paul and Fruquan, and rapper Too Poetic, all of which had trouble with Tommy Boy Records in the late 80s, early 90s. They were all very disgruntled with the music industry. They came together, made this supergroup of sorts, which really formed out of frustration with the industry. Somehow they took it in this horrorcore direction before horrorcore was even a thing, before the subgenre even had a name, where they have these horror movie type lyrics, but they do it kind of with this tongue-in-cheek sense of humor. It's not to be taken too seriously. I mean, just look at the cover. They can't be that serious, right? With the fangs. Come on, RZA. The beats by Prince Paul are incredible. The rhymes are entertaining. The aesthetic on this thing fits my taste absolutely perfectly. This is an undisputed classic, and it's really slept on at number 177. Way too early on this list. Fly God, West Side Gun's 2016 debut LP comes in at number 176. I'd make an argument for this to be a modern day classic. I don't love it quite as much as some people do, but it's kind of right on the brink of a classic. It really helped the Griselda Collective from Buffalo break out. They sort of set the stage for modern day coke and mafioso rap and what it is now. They've really expanded an empire, and they started it kind of on this album. They had some mixtapes and releases before, but this was the first big release and the first really successful Griselda project, I think. West Side Gun, he's hungry on this record. You get his ad ad-lib driven, boisterous, kind of nasally high-pitched delivery. He does have some great records that have dropped since this, but I do think this is probably his best. Pray for Paris I might consider as a strong second. And I do also think this is probably among the best full-length albums out of the entire Griselda collective. There's excellent production from a number of big names, mixed with Westside Gunn's unique style at its finest on songs like Dunks, Hall, Mr. T, but really every song on here is solid. I think 176 pretty appropriate. Hey, it's cool to see Roxanne Shante acknowledged at number 175 with her 1989 debut Bad Sister. Known for her battle rap skills and a strong catalog of singles dating back to 1984's Roxanne's Revenge, which was recorded when she was like 14 years old. She was one of the earliest female rappers to see success, and needless to say, she blazed trails for a lot of future generations. While I've always been kind of underwhelmed by Bad Sister as an album, I'm glad that Rolling Stone is giving Roxanne Shante her flowers. She really truly does deserve them. I wouldn't put this in my top 200, but to see Roxanne acknowledged in a top 200 list, I think it's fantastic. Not only did she blaze those trails for future female rappers, but she really helped develop what eventually became the mid-school hip-hop sound, along with names like Run DMC, LL Cool J in that period between about 1984 and 1985, before hip-hop's golden age really broke out. She was a pioneer of that style. Purple Haze by Cam'ron, number 174. I think this is a pretty understandable pick. I enjoyed this one and his 2002 album Come Home With Me pretty equally. It's easy to overglaze Cam as he just has such a flashy, unique style on the mic, and I love that style, but I think a lot of people rate Cam'ron just a little bit too high. But this album in particular had a great amount of sort of mainstream appeal mixed with his streetwise raps and subject matter. It was an impressive balance. There's some really, really great songs on here. Killa Cam, Dipset Forever, Down and Out. But I don't think any Cam'ron project has any business being ranked, I guess, inside the top 150, so I think Rolling Stone got this one right. Mac Miller's The Divine Feminine at number 173. I've always been a little bit torn on Mac Miller. I'll say that I really did like watching him evolve from this annoying little battle rapper from Pittsburgh that used to hang out with Wiz Khalifa in the early 2010s to a full-fledged creative and musical genius by the end of his life. As far as his studio albums that were actually hip-hop, I'd rank this one probably number 3. I did actually enjoy watching Movies with the Sound Off, even though it was kind of earlier in the 2010s, and it was that side of Mac Miller that sort of annoyed me at first. I think nothing beats 2018 Swimming, which is a borderline modern-day classic. The Divine Feminine really did start to show that stylistic trend that Mac Miller would achieve, but this album overall, The Divine Feminine, it just didn't really do it for me. I'm assuming we're going to see at least one more of his albums on here. I do hope it's Swimming. I don't think this one belongs in the top 200 hip-hop albums of all time, though. Flo Millie's Ho Why Is You Here mixtape from 2020 at number 172. Sorry, you can't put that in over classics like 6 Feet Deep and Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. No. She mixes in accessible, danceable hip-hop styles nicely with some modern-day trap, but that's about all she does that's unique or interesting. This is not my cup of tea, I'll say that as well. Even from an objective standpoint, I can't come close to justifying a top 175 placement for this thing. Rolling Stone, again, they are reaching to try and include some diverse artists on this list. They addressed that at the beginning of the article, saying that they're not looking to have all 5 Outkast albums here in favor of some different artists and diversifying, so I get it. I do understand that, but they could do better than Flo Millie. Marley Marl's In Control, Volume 1 from 1988, number 171, that gets things a little bit back on track. I think it's disrespectful to have the Juice Crew legend placed right next to Ho Why Is You Here, but there's nothing I can do about that. This record's claim to fame, of course, is The Symphony, which is one of the earlier Posse cuts, featuring huge names from the Juice Crew. 2 of my top 20 favorites, Cool G Rap and Big Daddy Kane, drop some heat on that track. The album goes far beyond The Symphony, though. There are so many great tracks here. There's the Craig G-led Duck Alert, Tragedy Gaddafi's The Rebel. Those 2 are choice cuts for me, but really everything on here is pretty strong and it's pretty fun. The album is full of guest spots from Queensbridge rappers and Juice Crew members, and I think as a whole it's a bit underrated. 171, man, I think it needs to be in the top 100. This is kind of a landmark album for Golden Age hip-hop. The Juice Crew was one of the landmark groups in the Golden Age, and this is possibly the most complete effort that the Juice Crew ever had on wax. It's a little bit low. It's in my top 100. I'm glad it gets acknowledged, though. Halfway through the list. If you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe to this channel. Any engagement helps me. I'm a small creator, still growing. Recently hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. If you like what you see, I would love if you joined my channel. Crit was here, the 2010 debut album or 6th mixtape. Take your pick of as to what the format is. By Mississippi rapper Big Crit is a nice entry. I've been a fan of Crit since the early days, kind of since this thing came out. He's one of the most talented wordsmiths to ever come out of the South. His output and consistency since the mid to late 2000s, since he started as a mixtape rapper, it's been very, very impressive. I love the songs They Got Us, Just Touchdown. This was his breakout release. He's got this awesome, hungry, high energy flow. He just comes right out of the gate swinging. He's wordy and technical without being too verbose, which I appreciate, and this is a style he would further refine on and capitalize. He would become a better writer later in his career. Crit is a modern day Southern hip hop legend, and I like this pick at number 170 overall. We stay down south with Goody Mob's Soul Food at number 169, and again, this is way too low. This is a top 50 of all-time hip-hop album for me, and probably top 10 from the South. Goody Mob's four-man weave over organized noise beats really works well here. It's hard to talk about this album without mentioning the early success of Outkast, but Goody Mob, they really do hold their own here. They're led by CeeLo Green. He steals the show with his verse on the song I Didn't Ask to Come, but the rest of the crew holds it down. They really do trade off nicely. They're all very talented lyricists. I can't get enough of tracks like Cell Therapy, Thought Process with Andre 3000, and the stunning closer The Day After. Listing this outside of any top 100 hip-hop list, in my opinion, it's criminal. Rolling Stone messed this one up too. Pray for Haiti by mach-hommy at number 168. I really spun the hell out of this thing when it came out in 2021, and I still do to this day. He had some massive underground cult success that was driven by SoundCloud and releases like the GAT a few years earlier, and it caught the attention of Griselda. So this album was kind of his first big budget album. It was his breakout. From his abstract, calculated, nasally delivered bars on the ominous opener, the 26th letter, to the iconic performance on the song The Stellar Ray Theory, all the way to him going off on one of the best beats of the 2020s, the Nicholas Craven produced Criminal. This album is packed with so many enjoyable moments. mach-hommy brings a cerebral, more abstract side to this modern day mafioso rap that Griselda helped popularize, and this album, it rips. I'd actually argue for this having a top 100 placement as well. This is probably my favorite project of mach-hommy's. Alright, 167, this is one that I actually agree with. It's Above the Law's second album, Black Mafia Life from 1993. This is actually, in my eyes, their third finest. It's bookended by better albums. 1990s Dr. Dre produced Livin' Like Hustlers, which saw some early formats of what would become G-Funk, and 1994's Uncle Sam's Curse, which was an in-house produced G-Funk masterpiece. So if this is the only album from the Pomona, California group on this list, that's an oversight. But this album, for what it is, it does kind of fit squarely into the top 200 for me. I really do agree with this placement. They take some of those G-Funk formulas that were provided by Dr. Dre on Livin' Like Hustlers, they give it their own twist. I think this album is solid. I think Process of Elimination is a good song, but man, I really hope we see one of those other two albums that I just mentioned. Anything otherwise, that's a misstep by Rolling Stone. At number 166, Childish Gambino's 2013 album Because the Internet comes in. I'm also a bit torn on Childish Gambino. I mean, I like what he stands for, I like his originality, but I just have really never been huge on his music. Something about him. I would make an exception for his 2016 album Awaken My Love. I really thought that was a solid project. That was an impressive record. That album probably belongs somewhere in the top 200, but because the internet never really did it for me, I don't know. Yes, it was his breakout album. Yes, it showed his evolution after a number of underwhelming mixtapes in the previous 5 to 7 years. And yes, V3005 is actually an incredible song. I'll give it that. But I think this is the wrong Childish Gambino album to include here. I'd really be okay with Awaken My Love at this spot. But I think two Childish Gambino albums in Rolling Stone's top 200 of all time is a major stretch. I actually hope we don't see it. And if this is the only one, Rolling Stone once again got it wrong. Another one, another album I love that, it's just too low on this list for me. It should be later. Cannibal Ox's The Cold Vein, number 165. I do not love that placement. This is a top 50 hip-hop album for me. I did a list of my favorite albums, regardless of genre, from the 2000s, and I named this near the top of my list. The quirky, abstract, and yet streetwise wordplay from MCs Vordul Mega and Vast Air. The insanely mechanical and experimental beats from LP, which sounded so far ahead of their time for 2001, and the strength of the songs Iron Galaxy, which is a killer opener, and the second to last track Pigeon, which is one of my favorite hip-hop songs of the entire decade. All of these things make this album truly, truly special. This is an absolute underground classic, in my book, among the best underground East Coast hip-hop albums of all time. It showed one last moment of pre-9/11 New York grit. Rolling Stone, again, underrated the hell out of this one. There are so many albums getting slept on here. It's annoying. There's a couple of albums getting appropriate placement though. Case in point, number 164, Blank Face by Schoolboy Q. I think this is his best record. It's from 2016. I think it's the strongest effort from who is a stalwart on the Top Dog Entertainment label. He shows incredible versatility. This is one of Schoolboy Q's gifts as he toes the line between a mainstream and streetwise rapper. I also talked about this when I broke down Complex's top 50 LA rappers list. I just did that recently. Go check that video out, linked up in the corner. I think on this album, the beat selection is very superb, and this album is admittedly carried by some guest appearances, I will say that. You have Jadakiss on the excellent Groovy Tony Eddie Kane. You have the aforementioned E40 dropping in for the bouncy Dope Dealer. John Muir is a modern day West Coast street classic, and even Kanye West, who I'm not a fan of, makes a strong contribution on that part. This is a well-rounded effort. It's gritty, it has wide appeal, and Q gives an excellent lyrical performance throughout. This pick at number 164 I agree with. But then 163, another album that's underrated. I kind of understand why this is where it is. This is UGK's Super Tight from 1994, their second album. We're gonna see their third album, Ridin' Dirty, probably in the top 50. That's my guess, at least. But man, their second album, Super Tight, it's just almost as good as Ridin' Dirty. This should not live in the shadow of Ridin' Dirty. This is an excellent record. Pimp C provides the production on here, and man, he was such a great arranger with such a good ear. And there's some live instrumentation in here too. Pimp C is one of the most underrated producers of all time. I think a lot of people don't really realize just how much influence he had musically behind the boards on these seminal UGK albums. There's a lot of lush, there's a lot of funky soundscapes. He and Bun B go back and forth on the mic perfectly. They're like vanilla and chocolate. They sound completely different. Bun B's got this big baritone voice and Pimp C's kind of high-pitched and nasal. They kick excellent street shit over these awesome beats. For me, the menacing 316s and the scathing I Left It Wet For You are the highlights on here, but you can't go wrong with any track. This is a no filler, no skip album for me. While it does have some antiquated subject matter, I still think it should be way higher on this list yet again, at least top 100 for me. Whack World by Tierra Whack comes in at number 162. This album, man, it's just a troll job. It's 15 tracks. Every track is exactly 1 minute in length, so you have a 15-minute album. It's more of an EP than anything. It's a ridiculous album. It's kind of gimmicky, but somehow I still enjoy it. I love a good troll job. It does mix trap, R&B, and accessible modern-day East Coast hip-hop together pretty nicely, even in such short periods of time, little bite-sized beats and songs. But it's so short, it's so compact that you have no excuse not to check this out and give songs like Hungry Hippo and Sore Loser just a quick chance because they're just fun. I'd be a hater if I felt any way otherwise. I probably wouldn't put it in my top 200, but it's a fun project and it's a notable and unique one that stands out. I appreciate that. The final entry on this section of the list is Polo G's Die a Legend. This is the 2019 debut from the Chicago trap artist. It's actually heavily melodic, and there's a lot of melodic trap that's around now. I think they call it plug. This isn't really plug, this is more just modern day trap, but it does show that Polo G and producer Steve O. Carlos actually have a musical ear, which is refreshing and not something normal for the trap genre kind of before the late 2010s. Having said that, the album kind of overstays its welcome. It runs together, it's a little bit too long. It's not bad, it's not top 200 though, but I will say that Polo G did blaze some trails with this one. There's a lot of stuff that sounds like this album now. He does incorporate a little bit of that Chicago drill style that was popular, that came out kind of in the early part of the 2010s, but he gives it sort of a melodic, almost introspective twist at times. He's not the greatest rapper. This album is actually okay in my book, just not top 200. That's it for the second out of 10 installments in this video series. What did you think of numbers 180 to 161? For me, there was a lot of albums in this section that were ranked too low. For my older school hip-hop heads, what do you guys think about having Gravediggaz at 167 and Cannibal Ox at 165? Does that seem fair? I sure didn't like it, but let me know in the comments below what you guys think and how you feel. Part 3 is coming soon. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Stay tuned. We're just getting started.